And I was like, okay, yeah, like she's coming down. Like this baby is descending.
Oh my gosh. If I had known that, I would have pulled over quicker.
Aw.
I would have pulled over. I would have been done.
Finally have my specialist guest ever. This is my husband Hunter, aka Huntrisha, aka Mr. aka aka Dad, aka Cinderella,
I was gonna say those are all in-house titles.
aka
Please don't call me that.
Mr. Butt Wiper. That's his
Why do we gotta go there?
because it's a trend. We'll have to make the trend for the real to go with that. He used to be a CNA and a caregiver, and there was this old guy who could not remember his name. And one night he like called out to him and he was like, "Hey, butt wiper."
He called me all kinds of things. The company that I worked for was called Right at Home. So sometimes he would call me, he would just say, "Right at home." Or he would say Kofi, which was an African caregiver that,
So
and I mean, we're basically the same.
Basically
And
the
then
same person.
butt wiper. So I had 3 different nicknames. Almost never my real name. Pretty much.
So he is the butt wiper of the family. He does a great job.
Professional.
He's a professional. Literally professional. Okay, so this is season 5 of Coffee with Kay. Thank you guys for, I know some people have not been around since season 1, and some people are probably just randomly finding this video on YouTube. Thank you for being here. I'm really trying my hardest. So for season 5, this is year 5 of this podcast, I think. And my hope is to still like bring in the Bible and bring in the stuff that really matters, which is to me the gospel, but also like bring in humor, bring in just kind of more personality, and just have a lot of fun. And so we're starting off season 5. Season 4 was called an ode to my 20s because I turned 30 at the end of last year. And so I was just going back, like and reflecting on my 20s and like how I grew with the Lord and my salvation story, because my year 20 started off completely differently than it ended, and he's a big part of that story. It's just kind of, it still blows my mind that I'm like been married for almost 10 years and have 4 kids and I'm a stay-at-home mom, because that was not at all what I wanted to do with my life. So jokingly, I was like, oh, I want season 5 to be my so far so busted 30s, because like they're not really that busted. They've been a little busted.
Unpredictable.
That is the word. So far, so unpredictable 30s. I'll say that. Because I woke up on my 30th birthday, not feeling really well. I thought it was morning sickness. I was like 5 months pregnant. And then I was like, oh no, like I think I got a little bug. And so I was like, I think I can sleep it off. Like I think I kind of caught it ahead of time, took some medicine during the night. And then in the morning I was feeling a little better after a nap. And so I was like, I want to go out and about. It's my birthday. I want to go get my free birthday stuff and pick up the kids from school with you, because they have like a little co-op they go to because our kids are homeschooled. And that ends up with me barfing in like every public vicinity.
Can I tell them that? Because we went to, what is it? Not Mary Kay.
Wait, you can't go to Mary
I
Kay.
forgot what that is.
And I don't.
We were at Kendra Scott, and I'm going inside because she's waiting in the car with the kids. And
he was picking up. I got a free piece of jewelry because I had a birthday party and they ruined my party, and so they gave me a free piece of jewelry as an apology, and I let him go pick up.
The customer service was
on par.
Not. Oh, at that point was fantastic.
Point, yeah.
So we decided to pay them back by not only coming to get a free piece of jewelry, but also to give the presentation in the parking lot. She had just stepped out of the car door and just barfed everywhere, like right straight in the line of sight. Like it was just like, it was perfectly orchestrated. Like we just turned and she was like, oh, is she okay? And I was like, yeah, she doesn't feel very well.
Not a baby. It was not the baby.
This is in like the South Mall, like not in the mall, but you drive up to it. But it's still a nicer, that's a very relative term, but it's a nicer area.
Like my coffee.
Nice. But yeah, that was fantastic. So anyways, that was part of it. And then I threw
up in the school parking lot in the woods. Because I was like, I really don't feel good. I think about a barf. And he's like, don't do it here.
Like we're in line.
Yes, we were in the pickup line. And I was like, what do you mean don't do it here? Like, I can't not barf. And so I could feel it. And so I went and I walked across the parking lot to the woods. And the woods is shared with our actual church. All 2 feet deep. And I totally And then we had to pull over on the side of the road on the way home. So that was my 30th birthday. It was awful. It was horrible. And then, yeah, just I shared about our baby with our fourth pregnancy, and that was just the most stressful time of our lives thus far. That's been my 30s so far. And so then to just put the cherry on top is our birth story, and it's crazy. So if you don't follow me on social media, I gave birth to our fourth baby in the car, in our minivan.
It was awesome.
It was awesome.
I guess you already told them then, like, her condition, all the things up to that point that we dealt with.
I don't remember if I've done an official. No, I don't think I have done an official episode about our baby. So our baby was diagnosed with hydrops fatalis, and so it's like a rare disorder that can happen for a variety of reasons, and the baby will start collecting fluid in their body. So our baby specifically had pleural effusion, and so there was fluid collecting in her chest cavity. She had ascites, so there was fluid collecting in her abdomen, and she had severe edema, so there was fluid like all underneath her skin.
So on like the ultrasound, you could see her stomach was distended, like little, basically like it was like she was just really full.
Yeah,
you know, and she was a fluid.
And she was like 20 weeks, but she was measuring like 25 weeks because she was just so swollen, and so her heart was completely compressed against her back. And her lungs were completely compressed, and so they weren't developing.
You couldn't see them.
You couldn't see them on the ultrasound. It was just like a big black hole.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of her intestines were like squished down, compressed, like, going towards her hips. And so they weren't developing properly. Yeah, she was given like a 20% chance of survival, and so we had surgery done. That was just after my 30th birthday, too. So it was probably a month after my birthday. It was on my little brother's birthday, actually. And so we had emergency surgery done in Houston. And they put a shunt in her chest. They went through my abdomen, through her chest, and put a shunt to relieve all the fluid and the pressure. And it worked. It saved her life. And so then we continued. Yeah. Yeah, we continued with the pregnancy and made it to 37 weeks. And I usually do not deliver our babies early. Like I usually am pregnant until like 42 weeks. And as you've heard the story, like we were pretty crunchy. And so like our last baby was a home birth. This baby couldn't be a home birth because of her birth issues. We were going to go be induced at the hospital, but that didn't happen. Okay, so.
Me too.
Yeah, you want to start? You want to share from your perspective?
Okay, let's see. So essentially on the day of, I know I was working at home and we had discussed maybe going to playing with the idea of going to Dallas early. Initially, I didn't really want to go in that early. Like we were talking about maybe 2 weeks, which was about this time, meaning at 37 and a half weeks gestation. And so we had kind of played with the idea, but had not determined a date on when we were going to go, just that we needed to go probably soon, maybe that weekend. I think that was what we were anticipating, was maybe going this coming weekend, but that was a Monday, right?
Yeah.
It was a Monday, so we had a few days at least. And so I was working, I have an office here at home, so I was working in the office and came in for lunch, and Kiri was just kind of like sitting there eating, and she was like, I think maybe we should go tonight.
If you didn't know, my real name is Kiri. It's not Kay.
Oh, sorry.
In case you're
name
curious
drop.
who that
Hey,
is.
you name drop me all kinds of ways, so I think I can drop that one.
That's fine. Giving out my government name like that. How could you? My goodness. I didn't even technically give out your government name. They truly don't know what your real name is.
I'm a ghost.
Yeah.
I'm not even your
husband. And now everybody knows my name.
All right. So anyways, so I came in and she was saying like, I feel like we should go tonight. And I was like, okay, like we've been planning to go. So like that would be okay. And she'd already had the.
First, it was going to be the next day. Because remember, I had physical therapy on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
And then you were like,
yes, because she felt bad. She was like, I just don't want to cancel on them.
I love my physical therapist. She's so good.
I feel like that was all the way up until the point that we were soon going to be leaving. Like, we were like, I feel like I'm going to labor. So, like, we should probably go tonight. But she's like, I feel like I should still go to PT because I don't want to make her, like, wait.
And the
scheduled and the massage. She just felt, she's, very kind. She just didn't want to make them wait.
So good,
I said, Carrie, I think that they will understand if you're going into labor. Like, I think they'll get that. And so she called and they canceled and they were just fine. But then, so she was sitting there and she was like, I feel like maybe like 10 minutes later, she was like, I think maybe we need to go like right now. And I was like, she's clearly she means this. It wasn't like just a, willy-nilly, let's go now.
And we were in the middle of lunch.
Yeah.
Like, kids are outside playing and I'm fixing their lunch and I'm eating lunch. Like it was a completely normal day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Whoops.
then thankfully, she had the foresight of making sure we'd packed way in advance. Because again, we're at this point, all the other kids had been born 41, 42 weeks. So we had plenty of time. But we'd already booked, we'd already packed up our suitcases and we're ready to go. So because of that, we were able to just get the kids packed up, get the suitcases in the car, get Lily, our little dog, in the car, and we headed out. And pretty much, we didn't get, I think, 10 minutes down the road, and then our youngest, our 3-year-old, was like, I need to go poop. And we were like, awesome, Jeremy. Like, let's just say names on that. Okay, cool.
It's okay.
We can cut it out. So yeah, our 3-year-old was just like, I need to go poop. And we were like, oh, this is good timing. So we start to pull over, and he's like, I tricked you. I don't really need to go. Oh my gosh, like we're already, our minds are racing of like, who do we need to call?
Hour and 45 minutes away from the
Yes,
hospital. So keep that in mind.
Because of the situation with our youngest, our baby, we wanted to stick with birthing with the specialists in Dallas, which is, an hour 45. And so then he pops out again and he goes, I need to go to the bathroom. And we're like, oh my gosh. Okay. So we pull over to, no matter what, we're going to go. Like, we're going to go sit on the potty no matter what. And if you don't go, that's fine. We're not going until we get to Dallas. And so, he sits on the potty for a little bit and a little bit of pee, and that's it. And he's done. And so
fun fact, while you guys were in the bathroom, I was like getting pretty uncomfortable. And mind you, like I said, I've never gone into labor on my own. I've been induced 3 times. And so I don't know what labor feels like. And for me, it just felt like I was just crampy. And we had the flu the week before. And I had my mother-in-law take me to the ER when I first came down with the flu because I was starting to have steady contractions. And it would have been premature. And I was like, we are not having this baby premature, and we were not having this baby. And so we went to labor and delivery, and they gave me muscle relaxers and like IV fluids and got the labor to stop. And so, yeah, we were just kind of like, we've already almost had that emergency. We don't want that emergency again. And we're not doing this. So when you guys went to the bathroom, I got out of the car because I was kind of like, man, I wonder if I stand up, like if it'll feel any better, because I'm sitting down, I'm feeling really uncomfortable. And so I was like, let me try and find some like labor stuff I had packed in the suitcase for the hospital. And I like stood up and I opened the trunk, and I had this super hard contraction, and I was like, oh, no,
this is the real deal.
And I managed to find like 1 bottle of essential oil in the suitcase, and then I like hobbled back in the seat and sat down, and I like had to keep my seat kind of back because if I sat up straight, like it would make the contractions more intense. And so I was like sitting like this in the car. She wasn't like pressing on my cervix.
That was fun. So then we came out and hopped in, and we're like, okay, we gotta get rolling. So we start driving, and I think probably again another 15-ish minutes later, Kiri turns to me. She's like, I don't think we're gonna make it. I was like, okay. Through my mind, all that I'm thinking is, okay, so we've got multiple, we got a couple options. It's like we can birth in time, where we don't know any of the doctors, we don't know which hospital we go to, they don't know the situation, the condition, the surgery. Like, we could get them up to date, but like finding the right doctor was kind of important for this, especially because we didn't know how Jackie would be.
It's okay.
After after everything was said and done, they had to do an ultrasound scan of her brain afterwards, and it's like if they don't have the right team. I was just like, there's so many different factors to being in time. So I turned to her and I was like, okay, like thinking, you're going through the labor. I don't think we should stay here, but do you want to stay in? Like, do you want to birth in? And
but we're probably like 40 minutes away.
Because we weren't even on 20 yet, so we still had probably a good hour.
It was going to take us 40 minutes to get back to the hospital, is what I mean to say. We would have been 40 minutes away from the hospital entirely. So it was like, if we kept driving another 40 minutes, then we're only going to be like 30 minutes from the Dallas hospital. So we might as well just get closer to
And I wasn't even thinking about it. I knew it was a decent distance to our hospital, but still not a great situation necessarily. Not that the hospitals here are bad. It's just we needed a specialist in this situation.
They're just not prepared to.
Yeah, it's not set up for a pediatric. It's a very our population here is fairly geriatric. So there's a lot of like adult care, but not a lot of pediatric care. So she was like, okay, yeah, let's just go. So I was like, okay, we're going to go. And she kept on pushing. She was like, you need to call and see if we can get an escort and like a police escort, because we're on this program or whatever with the hospital and they're going to help us transport. Like maybe they'll send a helicopter or whatever. Because they did say that they could offer that. I knew it was probably a stretch, and also how long it would take, anybody's best guess. And so I was like, whatever. I don't really want to call the police and like bother them, whatever. That's not really what I should have been thinking about, but that's okay. So I do call the police in, and they go ahead and uh, they said that they couldn't do an escort. They don't do that. Essentially, they were too busy. But they would call the patrol, like basically the patrol on the highway, to let them know that we'd be coming pretty quickly because we were booking at about 90 miles an hour. And to be fair, this highway, the speed limit's 75. Like, we were not really like just blowing. It's not like one of those videos where you see, it feels like you're like at a standstill and this car just blows past you. Like, we were being reasonably safe, but in a hurry because it's an emergency. So anyways, we started heading that way quickly, turn on the hazards. We're flashing, the brights like on anybody that was potentially in the way, just so they knew we were trying to get by. And generally, we didn't have any issues until we got to about 40 minutes down the road.
And for the first half of the trek, our littlest was not happy.
Yeah.
So after we got back in the car, he was just like totally being a 3-year-old, and he was having fit after fit, and we're just like throwing snacks at him, like, and our oldest is very particular.
Set his face like,
no, really, we were like, just shut up, like, eat the granola bar. And he's, I don't want that, I want that. We're like, fine, you can have whatever you want. And like,
usually we wouldn't put up with that,
no.
but like this time it was kind of not the priority.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk to him about the situation.
No, we don't have time for that. And I was trying to explain, like, this is the moment, this is the emergency that we're always planning for. So just do what we're telling you. And you wouldn't do it. And our oldest was like, are you sure he's supposed to have more snacks? And I was like, just give him more. Just give him more. I don't care. Okay. And we're also, like, we have a strict rule to not eat in our car. And so this is also, like, we had the whole snack bin on the center console in the back rows because we did not care. We just had to get to Dallas. And yeah, he was, like, throwing toys at me in the front seat, taking his shoes off, throwing his rain boots.
I think he was trying to be silly, but he knew he was being bad.
Oh my word. And I'm sitting here like, please stop terrorizing me. Like, this is, like, I am literally in labor, and my 3-year-old is absolutely terrorizing me. And so we were like,
which is so atypical for him, honestly.
That's
like pretty atypical. He's very chill.
Yeah. And so Hunter was like, hey, if you be quiet, we will let you watch a movie when we get to Dallas. And he was like, oh, okay. And he like completely crashes out for the entire rest of the ride. And so I found some earplugs in my purse, and I had the earplugs in because usually I do Christian hypnobirthing. And I just could not handle it. And I couldn't find my AirPods. And so,
and you didn't want mine.
And I didn't want his AirPods. I don't know if anybody else is like this with their husbands. I will not use your toothbrush. I will not drink out of your water bottle. And I will not use your AirPods. Like,
it's because for some reason she likes to clean her water bottles like every day, and I clean them once a month. You know what I mean?
Mine every other day. And I remember in college, that's probably the last time I drank his water bottle. And because we were used to be in a biking club, like that's how we met, was biking. And I guess, I was probably thirsty, and he was like, here, you can have some of my water. And I like happened to look at it, and it was
probably the innards. Like it was like it was probably the inside. Like I'd not taken the nozzle off. I'll say, babe, you've refined my cleanliness.
I was just like, that's okay. And I have not drank out of his water since. And he'll be like,
what?
I'm so thirsty. Can I have some of your water? And I'm like, no.
Your mouth is dirty too.
Get your crusty lips off my water bottle.
To be fair, like now I do clean my bottle about every 2 days. About every 2 days.
He really does.
A lot better.
And if he doesn't, then I open it and I pour it out for him, even if he's still out of it.
Yeah.
But AirPods and earplugs. And so our other 2 kids were like dead silent. They were so sweet. They did a really good job. So yeah, we get to Terre Haute.
Yeah, okay.
Which is like pretty much like right about halfway. Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. We had about 35 to 40 minutes, probably 35 minutes left. And so we start getting off, and where Terrell basically goes into Dallas, you are basically that road starts getting busy, and then you go on 635, which is this massive loop around DFW. It is one of the most dangerous highways, or I don't know what you call it, but whatever. It's a very dangerous road. I think there's like 7 lanes.
Interstate 635.
It probably.
I-635.
Maybe it is. I think it's a loop around, so I don't know if that's considered an interstate. But
Yeah.
either way, it's like 7 lanes, and people, just drive all kinds of ways as is typical.
And it's also like the way you get on it coming from East Texas is just a cluster fluff and nutter sandwich. Like it is just so poorly put together. It's a hot
getting on is intense.
It's so dangerous.
You just have to be aggressive. You have to be pretty aggressive to get on. And at this point, I'm like thinking about, okay, so like we're running into traffic and we're still doing the same thing, hazards, flashing lights, and what else? Honking horn. At one point, she was like, I knew labor was getting intense because she reached across, which she never does, and like, lays on the horn. And I was like, okay, all right, we're getting into business now. And so, yeah, so we're getting on at 6:35, and I'm just trying to be careful, as much as possible. But it starts getting busy. So it's like, oh my gosh, like time, how, you're just sitting there and it's like, it's moving like 1 second at a time because I'm watching the GPS timer and like seeing, okay, like what is our actual estimated time now? And for better or for worse, I'm like updating her about every 5 minutes because I feel like that'd be helpful to be like, okay, only 40 minutes left. Not really. I would really only tell her about 25 after 25 minutes. That was when I started to like kind of give indicators because at that point you're positioning up and, depending, like basically deciding on whether you're going to be giving birth in the car or not.
Yeah. Cause I think that's about when I was just like, he was watching the GPS, I'm watching the clock on the dashboard, and I'm having contractions like every 4 minutes. I'm watching it. I'm watching it go from every 10 minutes to every 8 minutes to every 6 minutes to every 5 minutes. And now we're at every 4 minutes. And I was like, okay, like this is really happening. And so I was like, ooh, like I'm just going to check myself, right? So I pull my leggings down and I feel, and I could feel the baby's head like at the tips of my fingers.
I never have asked you to this point what you meant. Because remember, I keep on telling you in the story. I keep on saying in the story, she said, I feel the head. And I kept on thinking, like, do you mean, and she wasn't really, again, like, ladies, you'll understand this. Like, in labor, it's a little difficult to articulate, I imagine. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I know, like, mentally, like, where you get, like, at least from observing. I personally have not birthed too much. But I've never asked you that, whether, like, you meant that you felt her, like with your hand.
Her head and the sack at the tip of
my gosh.
And I was like, okay, yeah, like she's coming down. Like this baby is descending.
Oh my gosh. If I had known that, I would have pulled over quicker. I would have pulled over. I would have been done. Because I did say, she said, I feel the head. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, so she's progressing to where she can feel, and I don't know why I thought that, because as I think about that, I'm like, how would you articulate where exactly the head is in your birth canal? Like, that would be I imagine that would be fairly difficult. Maybe y'all have, like, superhuman.
I mean, when you're a nurse, it's like 0 station, -1, -2. That's how you say what they're descending.
Yeah. That's what I should have said. But, babe, what station, though? Tell me.
No, I can put my hand in. First off, I can fit my hand up
First,
there.
I should have stopped and Googled, like, how should I describe to my wife while giving birth where the head is exactly?
My entire hand up there should have been a lot.
Yeah, that's true. So, anyways, I didn't realize that much. But I did also know, one way or the other, we're either going to get to the hospital as fast as possible and maybe give birth while we are pulling up, or we pull over, have the baby here, and potentially have complications. And I was just like, I wasn't thinking strategically about her having to catch the baby, but I knew we would be okay. I knew from previous births, because the last one was a home birth, and so I was like, okay, I know she can do this. Like, we've done it multiple times, and we've done this much more intensely the last time, and so I was like, okay, I know we'll be okay. We just need to get there, and that's what we have to focus on. So, plus, again, there's not a lot of back and forth at this moment. I'm just like, oh my gosh, she's standing up. Oh my gosh, her pants are down. Like, there's just like, oh, okay. But don't crash. Don't. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. And then essentially, I don't even know. You had to fill me in on that. So, like, could you continue from there as far as ahead? So
I remember that happened. And then, like, so this is kind of like TMI, but like whenever I give birth, I think this whole story is TMI. What the heck? I always know when I'm close, because I always feel like I have to pee really
I thought it was going to be the that whole thing.
No, we're getting there.
Should I tell them about at the home birth whenever you were in the bathroom? Can I tell it real quick? This is a really quick side note. We were having the 3-year-old at home, the window was open in the bathroom, and I'm in there with the midwife and Kiri, and she's.
I'm
This
vocalizing.
is all too. I'm so sorry, you guys, but
y'all clicked on
so
it.
we're.
You
I
wanted to
know.
listen to the
So
story.
she was on the toilet, which seemed to be the most comfortable place for her to birth.
Because I always feel like I have to go to the bathroom.
Right, that makes sense.
Yes.
So that's going on. She's like making this. Okay, this is not funny because I'm sure it's intense, but it's like a moaning sound, really loud,
very primal.
And so
like, very primal.
Quite primal. That is a very good word for it. And so like, I was just like practical. I think very practically, and I was like, this is really loud. I wonder if the neighbors are concerned. So I start closing the window, and she looked like this whole time she hasn't said one word, but she goes, "Open the window," and I was like, "Window open. I'll open all the windows in the house. I'll just go."
Word.
I should have given a disclaimer to the neighbors before giving birth.
Yeah.
But anyways, all that to say, I thought that's what you were talking about was that activity in the car. And Jeremy's reaction during this time.
Oh, there's a couple things before that. So first, I always feel like I have to go to the bathroom, and I like totally peed on myself. But I thought it was my water breaking, and it wasn't. But luckily, I brought a towel. So I
sometimes
did
it's my water breaking. No, it's not.
I like look at him, and I was like, no. And he's like, what was that? And I was like, I don't know. And then probably like 2 minutes later, my water breaks, and he was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, yeah, my water just broke.
And at that point, I'm like, we got 24 hours. We got to get to the hospital.
We're going to have this baby in this car. And I was like, I don't want to have this baby in this car. I was so...
Yeah. For that.
I was so mad. And so, yeah, I was like, when I would have a contraction, that's when it started getting really intense. And I had my buckle on the whole time because I was not trying to end up like a Grey's Anatomy episode. Seriously. And so I would like hold on to the emergency handle, and I would just kind of like stand up like that. Like I would kind of like make a star in the front seat, and I would lean on the center console, and he would like hold my belly like this. And I would lean here and like hold on through a contraction. And then when the contraction stopped, then I would like sit down and breathe. Yeah. And so then I get quiet.
When I knew that was a problem, I was like, immediately, I was like, oh no.
We're probably like,
this is it.
Good like, 25 minutes from.
This is legitimate. And I mean, again, I was at that point updating her like, okay, we got 5 minutes, 25 minutes. And then I knew I didn't need to give her like total live updates, but I also knew at this point it's go time. And like, it's kind of, I was like, that was quite the turning point.
Yeah. So it was broke,
pretty intense. Like,
and then I'm like really quiet. And he was like, Kiri, what's going on? He's like, I know. Because I get really quiet when I go through transition. Because if you're not familiar with how birth works, there's a period right before a woman pushes where God is so sweet to give you this really nice break of no contractions and just like literally no pain. And it can be like 5 minutes and everything stops, just completely stops. And sometimes you can like fall asleep during transition because usually you're so tired from exerting energy during active labor that you will just crash out for 5 minutes and then wake up and push.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I hit transition and I just got super quiet. And then, yeah, and so he's driving and he's like, oh no, like, I know what this is. Yeah, and he said he was feeling my tummy, like he could feel the
contractions and stuff. Yeah. That was weird. It was cool. Like it was functional. I was intending to just try to make sure she stayed in place and was okay if we slowed down quickly or whatever, because we're in stop and go traffic. And I was just like, I can't control sometimes how quickly people stop in front of us. So I tried to give enough space, but I'm focusing on her and that and texting. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah. So anyway, so then, yeah. Well, I mean, do you want to just go through like, because I'd be curious about that part of the story as far as like from that moment to when you actually gave birth, because all I knew is it was like she's there.
It was like, really cool. Fast. I just remember going through transition, and we were in like stop and go traffic, and so there was no getting off the highway. Like there was nowhere to pull over, and we were on the far left side of the highway. And like he said, like this is in Texas, our highways are huge, right? And so
especially in Dallas.
So like to get to the other side, you have to cross at least 5 lanes, and it's 3:00 in the afternoon. Yeah. Midday traffic. It's the worst time and the worst highway, literally in the state. And so, yeah, I was just like, yeah, the baby is like, it's coming. So I hit the transition, and then I started getting really vocal, and I was trying so hard not to be really loud because like our kids are in the car and I don't want to freak them out. And so I was just like, I would like breathe my bottle. Like, I don't know what I sounded
Really?
like to him. Wow, my essential oils. Like,
I saw that.
passion. I was just
Like a drug addict over there. Honey, what? This is a new phase of pregnancy. I mean, of the birthing process that I have not seen yet.
it's like such a crackhead. I really probably did. And so I had that and I had my earplugs. So I couldn't hear myself either, which was great. But I was trying so hard to not be like, like, okay, it's out. And so then I started getting really vocal and I remember like kind of like standing up in the car and it was like I pushed twice. And then that woke up our 3-year-old who had been napping and he was just like startled awake and then he just bursts out laughing and he just was dying.
Like, yeah.
He thought it was the funniest thing he'd ever seen.
I am curious from his perspective, like waking up to that and then hearing mommy make like such strange noises that he's never heard before.
So
like he must have been like, wow, mom is so silly. Like she's making me laugh.
And our
like,
daughter's in the back seat, like.
Yeah, the two others, like the 5-year-old and the 7-year-old, were both really quiet. And I think at that point probably was when no, TJ told us about we needed to call the ambulance after she was born, I think. I don't think it was during.
Yeah, I think it was right after. Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, we should probably call 911," because we would keep saying that, where I would be like, every so often during this whole drive to the city, would be like, okay, like, do we stop and call an ambulance or do we keep going? Okay, let's keep going. Okay, do we stop and call an ambulance or we keep going? We keep going, and we would keep calling 911 to let them know we were passing through.
Because we were speeding.
Yeah, because we were speeding. So like every time we hit a new county, we would call and say, like, this is what's going on. Please don't stop us. This is the make model of our car. Because of course, who remembers their license plate number? Not us. And then like sometimes if they weren't too busy, they would call ahead to the next county for us.
Which was really sweet.
Which was so nice. But we were like, the last thing we want is to get stopped in Dallas and have to explain, like, no, we cannot stop. We're like, you're gonna have to follow us. You're gonna have to pull us over when we get to the hospital.
Have a whole fleet of like escorting you. Thanks for the escort after all. That's great.
A high speed chase.
Have a helicopter over us. I'm like, guys, y'all are so good. Thank you
so much. I understand. We were so nervous. Yeah. And so, 2 pushes and she was out. And
but okay, to step back just a moment. Whenever Jeremy was laughing, he was laughing so hard. I thought he was crying like really hard. That's how like extreme his laughs were. And I was just like, what is going on back? I was like, he's laughing. He's actually laughing. And then the rest of them are just dead silent. Anyway, sorry. That will always be in my memory.
Yeah. And they didn't say anything, and then the baby came out and Hunter was like, your baby sister's here. Tell her happy birthday. And they were like, happy birthday? What?
Well, I think that might have even, I'm trying to think if I was able to even articulate that at that moment, like if it was then or afterwards. But either way.
Like, the baby's here. We're like,
yeah, it was pretty amazing. Because I remember that's when I took a picture, that's when I was talking to them about it, and she had already been wrapped up. So I think it was right after. It doesn't really matter, but
so then we got off
onto the access road. And Kiri had mentioned like she's like, I think I have a jacket in the back. Of course, misprepared, right? She said, got everything. So, on top of being prepared, like having a towel, she had a towel under her on the seat from the get-go. She had that. Case. Yeah, this was really, really intelligent. That was a good idea. And so I went to the back. I actually like, for better or for worse, the access road, funny enough, there was also nowhere to park. There was no, there were no rest stops or gas stations or anything. This was like a construction area. So we pulled off and there was a big curb. So I was like, I'm not pulling up on that. And the next intersection was like another mile away. So I was like, I guess I'm just stopping in the right lane. Thankfully it wasn't busy. But I turned on the hazards and like I left my door open because in my mind I was like, line of sight, like what you're looking for is anything out of the ordinary. So I had one door open and then we had the back door open to get the blanket. So I was like, okay, this will at least kind of flag it where they won't hit us. So I went over, gave the jacket to Kiri, she wrapped the baby, and we were just, I was like, we need to look for, coloration. We need to see if she's in that way, indicating whether she's breathing, looking for if she's breathing. I remember you patting her on the back, like trying to get her to like cry. And she did that and she was looking good. And so we were like, okay, like she seems to be stable. Not like we could do much if she wasn't. Maybe whatever. We didn't even think that far. So I was like, okay, she seems stable. I think we need to keep going. She's like, okay. So we, got her set up. We left, like headed out. And even then, again, it was like another mile before I could get back on the highway. And once we got back on, it was still stop and go. And I noticed the left lane was coned off. And I was like, oh, I think there's enough space. So I pulled into the coned off lane, and there was no barriers, no construction, no nothing. So I was like, okay, like we're going to just keep going in this left lane. And so that was a godsend, because actually last time we went to Dallas, those cones weren't up anymore. So it just happened to be that day that there was something that they were preparing for. So we were able to go cut off like 5 minutes of our drive. But that was whenever I like reached over and like took a picture, and I like reached to the back. I was like, guys, look, your sister, like she's here. And they were like, oh, and like, I didn't even think about that. That is what our 5-year-old daughter, she's been so excited about having a sister. And so whenever we were at the hospital waiting for whatever reason, I was like, are you so excited to like hold your baby sister? She's like, I am not holding her. And I was like, that's probably what she was thinking about, was like all of the meconium and like all the like the stuff on her skin. Like that's all she sees.
Yeah.
Is it meconium? No, not meconium.
No, she had passed her first, which was also like another serious thing, because she could have aspirated on it, and luckily she didn't. Yeah, and then all of her vernix and stuff. So
all I could imagine was like she probably thinking that's the most disgusting baby I've ever seen. Will not touch that thing. She said, I will help feed her, but I will not hold her. And you should see her now. She holds her like
all the time.
She asks to hold her all the time, and she does. She does a great job.
But yeah, she was really tiny, our baby. Like we were not expecting that. Maternal fetal medicine doctor was like measuring her to be like 6 pounds 14 ounces, and she was 5 pounds 13 ounces. And so when she came out, I was like, she's so little, like she was so tiny. And her little cry was so faint. All of our other kids come out screaming. Our daughter, our first daughter, did not. She came out, I remember she was silent, and I remember I was like, they couldn't get her on my chest because the cord was too sharp. And I was like, is she okay? Like, and you're like, oh yeah, she's just looking around. And she didn't cry. Like she didn't cry till they put her on the warming table and feed her off. Then she cried. But yeah, and so I was like, that was new for me. Our boys came out screaming. And so then I hadn't delivered the placenta yet. So we were still attached, and like the placenta was short, so I couldn't get her to my chest. So I had to I had to keep her on my lap. And so then we finally got in touch with the hospital with our program that we're in for like people.
After calling like 5 times.
Yeah, it turned out she was with another
it was,
in the NICU.
Yeah.
And so, and we had called them before we left home because I wanted to get checked. Like I was like, maybe I thought that weekend before I was having prodromal labor. I think I was actually in labor. Oh, that's the worst. Oh, I hate when that happens.
What?
When your sneeze doesn't come out. It's right at the end. I went to a wedding shower, on our friend's wedding shower on that Saturday, and I was having a lot of contractions, but I was like, it's Braxton Hicks, it's prodromal labor, that's always what happens. But my friend was like, do you think you're going to make it to 39 weeks? And apparently I told her that I didn't think I was going to make it. And so then on Monday, after I we announced to our friends, my friend was like, you remember when you told me that on Saturday? And I did not remember that, but I guess I knew something was going on.
Yeah.
And so we were originally just going to go early to Dallas so that we could get situated and be close in case we went into labor. And then I was like, we're going to get to the hospital probably like 7:00. If we can, if you can let labor and delivery know, because they have a list of their special clients, of these special patients who are in this program, that we're going to be here. I just want to get checked. And so we finally get in touch with them, and we're like, we're here. And they're like, okay. And apparently they thought it was somebody else. I think it was labor and delivery, and they thought we were there for the induction. And then we're like, no.
Whenever we left, I thought we had let them know we were coming for an induction.
No.
Or she thought, oh, okay, I didn't understand that. So we did call, and they were like, oh, y'all are coming for the induction, right? And this was after Jackie had been born, obviously. And so I'll just keep name dropping all day long.
I've said their name on social media. I don't usually say our kids' names on YouTube, but watch this be the one video that actually gets tons of views.
There you go.
I know, right?
Oh, I shouldn't have done that. So we call and I was on my AirPods or whatever, very clean AirPods, and I clean these. I actually do clean these. So just so y'all know, I'm not a nasty person. So she's like, yeah, y'all are coming for the induction, right? And I was like, no, we have, the baby is like been born. She's like, oh, okay, we'll see you when we get here. So we pull up and there's one nurse that's in the entryway and she has a wheelchair. And I was like, oh, I guess I didn't really feel like this needed a lot of people's, help. And so we pull up and there's like 8 people coming out of the elevator, including like, NICU staff and neuro staff. And again, all of the reasons that I felt like we needed to be there. It was like very, very clear that they took it very seriously, which is really awesome. And so her mom arrived like basically just before us and took over. We went, they got sent upstairs.
Yeah, we went upstairs in the wheelchair and I delivered the placenta, and they pretty much took the baby like straight to NICU and did my intake. I'm trying to remember. I remember our OB came up and like said congratulations and came to check on us, and that was just so funny. Everybody was just like, what happened? Because we've been preparing for this delivery for months. Like, we have a whole neuro team. We have like everything. Yeah. And I have the baby in the car. Just everything was thrown off. Mm-hmm. And then luckily, like, I didn't have any issues. I think I definitely like went into shock because I was doing intake with the nurse. But she let me cut the cord. That's what else. Because I had to cut the cord so I could get in the bed. So I got to have my delayed cord clamping. The cord was nice and white.
A long time.
She got all of her blood, not stealing any stem cells from us. So that was so nice. And I never cut any of our kids' cords. And so that was really cool.
And I got to do Jeremy's.
Yeah, you did Jeremy's. I think you did all the other kids' cords. Pretty positive. You definitely did.
I know I did TJ's.
Yeah, you cut all of their cords.
You're right.
And so that was sweet. And the nurse was like, you've done everything else. Like, you should do this part too. I was like, yes. Don't mind if I do. And then, yeah, I think I was just in shock.
Were you blind cutting?
No. That I could see. It was afterwards. My vision went out. That's why I think my body was in shock.
Sorry, nurse.
Like, suddenly, like, I can't see. And, like, everything is blurry.
Okay.
Always making sure. I always hear phantom cries. Anyway, so, yeah. And then he was getting the van situated.
Whenever I went to get the kids. So I went to get the kids, and it's just the funniest view.
To the NICU too to check on the baby because I had it.
Yes, I ran over there real quick, and then I went to get our kids with her mom, they were still actually in the. No, they weren't in the front. I think they parked.
They had gotten smooth.
They went. Yeah, they parked. So then I went to get the kids, and it was just the funniest things. There's a handful of things that just like highlight in my mind, and this was one of them because I was going out of the elevator and I just looked, and all 3 of them were lined up walking toward me, and of course you remember like this was. Spur of the moment. They were playing outside. We were about to have lunch. Like, we were chill. We were just like, get your shoes on. You're right, which is why they wanted snacks. Of course. Well,
sorry,
yeah,
guys.
I know, right? It's certainly it was a good investment. I think it was a good call.
Yeah.
Guys, I don't know. You got to finish your lunch first. But so yeah, I see them, and everyone is in their rain boots because that's the easiest thing to put on, right? They get their rain boots on, and they get in the car. Well, TJ, our oldest, is like, he is well known for playing all kinds of rough ways, which is great. He's 7, but he roughs up his pants. So he always has holes in his knees in his play pants. And so I see them, like him in his holy knees and like the rain boots and like everyone in their rain boots. And yeah, some of them had like remnants of like the dirt from outside, like on them. And I was like, and Maya, I think even Maya's hair was like a little messy. It was real messy.
Because we had just gotten over the flu. So I had spent the day cleaning and I still wasn't like, we still weren't totally 100%.
Yeah.
And so we looked like idiots.
So that was just like, it was just the funniest view. Because of course, up to this moment, I didn't care what they were wearing. And then I could see them. We were about to go up there and like the presentation is when the doctor comes in, like they had the birth in the car. They don't know how to plan. They don't know how to dress their kids. They don't have any shoes besides rain boots.
Why are you
and they live out in the backwoods country of like.
And we had a dog.
It just makes sense. Yeah. We didn't have the dog in the hospital though. We would not have brought that.
No, but we totally forgot about her for a second. My mom brought the kids
up. She was okay.
She was fine, but we're like, oh my word, we have all those snacks in the car.
Oh yeah.
Birth stuff in the car.
Who knows what she's eating,
But luckily they said she was just sitting in one of the kids' car seats, like totally not touching anything, being the perfect little dog. But we're also like, we're in the city. Somebody's going to see this dog.
Break the windows.
My word. So yeah, that was the epitome of crunchy birth stories.
Yeah.
I don't know if it could have been any crunchier. It could have been having baby birthing in the woods.
That's true. Stream. That would have been good.
Creek.
Yeah, the stream.
Like, it's not even a creek.
It's not a real
I don't
creek.
even think it's hardly a stream.
We have a drainage ditch.
We're going to give birth in the drainage
Let's go
ditch.
birth in the drainage ditch. That's cute.
I don't even-
So
anyway.
next time we're gonna reach out to Elon Musk and ask if we can just birth on a spaceship.
Yeah.
That's the next step.
That's the last.
Because how much fun would that be, you know? But you'd have to be
Actually, I want to
contained.
have births with the dolphins.
Okay. So we'll have to have 2 more kids. One with the dolphins and then one in space.
Low key, I was listening to dolphin sounds the week before. Any like labor prep, I did some inversions because the baby had been sunny side up like the whole pregnancy, and I was trying to make sure she was in the right position. So I did a 1 mile circuit that Saturday, and then I was listening to dolphin. I was listening to dolphin sounds, and I put it on my tummy because like there's sometimes the dolphins can.
The sonar.
And there's like a real thing of like dolphin births.
It's like if you needed to emphasize any more that there's some crunchiness going on. Like we're gonna have some dolphin sonar directed at her belly.
I was like, what's the harm? Like, why not? So I did do that. I didn't do castor oil. I think I had done like my clary sage essential oil the week before, just like rubbed it on my tummy with my stretch mark cream.
Your sniffing salts.
My sniffing salts. Yeah, I didn't do anything else to try and bring this labor on. Nothing.
It was just, she was in a hurry.
It was ready. So I'm ready to go.
Yeah. So then we were there for 9 days.
Yeah.
So that was intense. So we were there for just the 2 days that Kiri was in the labor and delivery. And then after that we stayed nearby at my grandmother's. And we were there for 7 days watching her on the little camera feed that they give you for the NICU, so that we would come in twice a day. Kiri was a trooper, and the kids were too. The kids really they did a tremendous job, both on the way and waiting for us to be done. I know by eight days they were done.
Everybody's having meltdowns.
Yeah,
so
they were so done.
We'll talk about that in the next episode too.
Yeah.
Because I think that's another part. I like how you rephrase my so far so busted 30s. It's not. It's just been so far so incredibly unpredictable.
Yeah, all in God's timing.
No, there was so much. There were so many moments that were just so ordained by the Holy Spirit, from just feeling like we should go to Dallas, just out of nowhere. I was like, that was the Holy Spirit, because if I had just kept thinking it was prodromal labor, which I had been, we would have been in a completely different scenario. But then also, I think it would be so awesome to talk about, because I have not really shared about what it was like going through that pregnancy, having a baby with a life-limiting diagnosis, and what we've learned about high drops, and the people that we've little tiny bits gotten to minister to other families who have high drops babies, learning about that 70% of high drops babies are terminated in the womb for no matter what reason the high drops occurs. Ours happened. We still don't know why. It was just completely spontaneous fluke. As far as we still know. But I think that would be a really good episode to talk about what that pregnancy was like, the surgery, the NICU time, because we've never had a NICU baby. And then also it'd be such a good story to share about how our community supported us.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Because that's that was the best unpredictable so far in my 30s, was how so many people came and showed up for us and for me.
Both during after the surgery, and also after the birth. It was incredible. It was incredible how everything came together. It was so smooth, and yet the most that we really planned was not a lot.
No.
It was a day to day.
Yeah.
Day to day. It was pretty much.
Yeah. And looking back at it, it was that was a lot. That was a lot to coordinate. We had to be in the city 1 to 2 times a month, and then once a week at the end of the pregnancy, and we had to balance the kids and this. It was crazy.
Yeah, babysitting animals.
It was so much. And we're homeschooling, and we run a business, and we have all of our animals. It was crazy. But we did it, and I was like, that was the Lord. Because I don't know how we did that. Yeah. So next episode, stay tuned, come back. Hope you enjoyed my special guest. I've been trying to get him on this stupid podcast for 5 years.
No, I'm
5
years. 5 years.
I've had this podcast for 5 years.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Thank
hey,
you
know what? I'm just next door. I don't know why you don't just ask me over more.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, you got it.
Thanks for listening. Like, share, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. I am on TikTok. I'm on Facebook. Find me there, mama_K Price. So see you for episode 2.
Yo.
Be prepared to fall in love with Microbalance health products. From their histamine relief for allergies, Citri Drops dietary supplement for immune help, laundry additive to keep your clothes fresh and clean, and their non-toxic surface wipes, you will be covered from the inside out. Use my code MAMAKPRICE to save 10%. And enjoy!